Right, I think I'm live now. Okay. Today I was going to focus on a few things, but there's always a but. Instead, I'm going to simply focus. I don't think it's going to be very long. It shouldn't be a long one, this one. If you saw the post I was doing last night, I was saying who was ready. This thought is all based on a thought I had yesterday with a friend. The day before yesterday it was. My friend Jay, I said, we were getting stoned. And if you knew my friend, or you knew what Geordie banter was like, we're daft all the time, always having a laugh and having fun and joking on. And his role is to try his level best to annoy me. And he does it a lot. But it got us thinking. And I started thinking, you're a really bad actor, you. Your lines are shit. And that's what I started thinking about. And then it dawned on us. That one thought hit us. And I thought, that makes sense. And I was sort of laughing. Now, before I tell what had actually happened, because that is the answer, I want to basically go over the pituitary gland, the pineal gland, how it works, why it works the way it works, what dreams are, why you dream, why you blink, the difference between black light and white light, and how you control fate. So you've got to go right back to the beginning and ask the question, what is consciousness? Consciousness isn't, well, if you go to science, it's hard to work out, but if you just use common sense and logic, it's not hard to work out. So I think we'll start with language, and how important language is, and why it is the way it is, and what it actually does, and the importance of this. So you've got to understand how you create reality, or how you create a reality, or what reality is. So you've got to ask the question, why are you the way you are? Not including astrology or anything like that, just your life, your egoic life. When I say the ego, what I refer to, because I refer to the ego as the flesh. And the easy way to do it is, who do you associate with? So you associate you. If I say you, I'm referring to that place in your head where you are. So you feel like you're the vessel. You feel like you're the body. You feel like you're you. So when I say the ego, that's what I'm actually referring to. The sensation of self, feeling like you. Now, if you were alone and you had no other people around you, who would you be? What would your name be? What would you like? What would you dislike? And then you realise pretty quickly that your entire ego life, or your egoic life, or your sense of self is based on your experiences. So really, the sense of self is arbitrary. If you were brought up in a different family, in a different area, you were still you, and you had a completely different experience, your sense of self will be completely different to what it actually is. So you can see how other people or your experiences create the sense of self. That means everyone else and everything else around you creates your sense of self, or the ego. So when you look at astrology, astrology is basically giving you the tools, shall we say, that you're going to be able to get through this egoic life. Or so you would think. So then you've got to try and work out what astrology is. Then you've got to try and work out what consciousness is, and where it is, and how it all works. So the conscious self, well, everything's the mind. So everything's the black dot. So we'll go to language. So the English language, lots of people know about the English language, and know about vowels and how vowels will create a tone, and the tone will create a somatic pattern, and the somatic pattern will create an image in your head. And word association as well. Words or nouns, words you associated with images. So a tree is a tree. If I said a tree, your brain automatically goes to a memory of a tree. You've seen it. You will retrieve that memory as the answer, and then you will visually see that image in your head. Now, this is really important. So, language. So, yeah, the video has actually been taken down. It's not there. I had done a post on it many years ago about, that was the bad thing about it. I didn't actually write about the video. I just says, this is a good video about language and how words create illness. It was a video by Dr. Africa. And he went through a lot of words. It was a really old video. You're talking like, it must have been recorded on a VHS video recorder because it was a really bad copy. But basically he was on a whiteboard and he was writing down English words. I can't remember the words. It was something like vitamin. So it was all the words like vitamin, minerals and things like that. And I don't know what language he was breaking it down with, because it wasn't like Hebrew or anything like that. It just, everything went back to the black dot, right? And at the time I didn't know what the black dot was. I knew it was the singularity point of a torus, but I didn't know it was the mind. He says everything takes you away from the black dot in the English language. So like vitamin, he was like, vita means this. And then it all went back down to taking you away from the black dot. So when people think they know language, you've got to know how deep this actually goes. So what happens, so what's the relevance of it taking you away from the black dot? Well, the black dot's the mind. So when it takes you away from the black dot, it creates disease. Dis-ease, everybody knows that, yeah? So you create the disease yourself. So you take it away from the black dot, which is the mind. So what takes you away from the black dot? The ego does, the sense of self. So when in the Bible everybody's going to go, we don't believe in God, there is no God. What you're actually talking about is a creator. So you get rid of the word God, just use the creator. So what creates everything? Well, the mind does. So once you understand that language can do all of these things, and the only way to stop it from doing these things is to rise above the ego. You have to rise above the ego to be able to understand why language does do this. But once you do rise above it, language has no effect. None. Yeah? It's like insulting words. You choose to be insulted. Racism. You choose to be the victim. Now, you can say racism exists. Oh, no, I'm the victim. I'm the black man. It's because I'm black. I'm a nigger. Oh, it's because I'm a nigger. It's not. You choose to be offended by things. Now, what's interesting about this, I'll just touch on this. It's just a quick one. The Polarians. The very first stage of the Polarians. And remember, it's all about getting dense. Melanin just becomes more dense. And the denser you get, the further away, the more you create the ego. So the end of the Polarian reign, the worse it got for the Polarians was to be offended. That was the worst it got. There was no wars. And remember, these are single cells. But the worst it got was to be offended. So by the time they got to the second root race, the Hyperboreans, the multiple-celled organisms, being offended now existed. And it just gradually gets worse. So you know it's the ego that's being offended. So by the time you get to the 9th stage where we are now, then people get triggered at anything. But this is where we're going to take the control back. So once you've worked all this out, you understand how it all works, and it's I mean, like I say, it's simple once you just think about it and you can see it. So you know there's two realities. You've got, well, let's keep it simple. Your eyes open and your eyes closed. Open, close. When you're born, the ego's birthed. How? You open your eyes for the first time, the light goes into your eyes and ignites the pineal gland, and the pineal gland come into life. So you know it's light for consciousness and darkness for subconsciousness. You know this quite simply for when at night you close your eyes and consciousness shuts down. But your subconscious never shuts down. So yeah, you've got to work out what the consciousness and subconsciousness is. I mean, I've said it before, it's the pineal and the pituitary. As within, so without. As above, so below. That's important as well. So, you know the pineal gland is the sun and the sun's for your eyes so you can see. The moon is for night, and it's the pituitary gland, and it's for sleep. Another interesting point about the pituitary gland, which will make total sense once you see it. So you've got the death process. So just think about somebody drowning. This is the best way to say it, because I remember hearing someone drowning and they described the feeling of death coming over them. They got brought back, obviously, when they got on the beach. They didn't die. But the dying process, what's actually happening to them as they were drowning, you have that initial panic. And as soon as that panic's over, you feel this warmth come over you and you relax. That's death. The death process kicks in. I watched a video once on DMT and how you can create DMT yourself by simply blocking out light. You block out light, I think it's for 3 days, and you'll start to see the light within. Right? And, I can't imagine blindfolding myself for 3 days and try to live. I mean, how do you find food? You know, walking into things. You'd have to be fed and things like that. But anyway, what had happened, what they're actually releasing is DMT. So what does that tell you? Well, you know that the pituitary gland is for at night. So even Dr. Africa says it's serotonin and then melatonin. Serotonin and the melatonin come from the pineal gland. Well, I disagree. I think serotonin comes from the pineal gland, and I think melatonin comes from the pituitary gland. Serotonin for the sun. He says, Dr. Africa explains it so you can remember it, is Sera for seriousness, for when you're awake, and Mela for mellow, for when you go to sleep. But I don't think so. I think serotonin is specifically for the chemical gets released. I think we see that as light. The manifestation for that in our reality is light itself. Because the pineal gland is spinning and spiraling and it's giving off hormones, or what we call hormones. I don't like that word either, but. And one of those hormones is serotonin. Now, I think the moon's doing the exact same thing as the sun is, but because we give everything to the sun, the ego only recognises the sun. That's why it only recognises the pineal gland. It doesn't mention the pituitary gland. No one talks about the pituitary gland. I only know the moon's the pituitary gland because it came to us in a dream. I dreamt about it. That's the only reason I know. It's like cymatic patterns on the earth. I only know the earth is a cymatic pattern because I dreamt about it. The moon told me. So I was asleep and I was in the pituitary gland or the subconscious when I remembered it. Now, so once you understand all that, you can see how, like I say, the moon controls sleep, or your pituitary gland controls sleep. And that DMT is the death hormone. So, when you're going to die and you stop all nitrogen going to your lungs because you're drowning, obviously, so there's no air or no nitrogen, so you're not breathing. As soon as you stop breathing, the system will shut down because you can't create electricity. And at that point, the moon produces a load of melatonin, lots of it. I mean, you call it DMT, call it what you want, but it'll actually put you to sleep a lot. And it'll take your consciousness with it. So I think that's exactly what's happening during night, except it's only releasing a small amount of DMT or the death hormone. So every night you're actually dying, but you only get a little bit, so you actually wake up again. But during the death process, you get to a certain point, there's no air getting in, and then it goes, and it'll release loads of, I don't like to call it DMT, I just call it the death hormone. And then you'll actually leave this plane consciously. So you understand that the moon, or the pituitary gland, pretty important and very powerful. So, this is where it starts to get interesting. So, during the day, your eyes are open. Science can't explain why we blink. They justify it and say, yeah, oh, it's to lubricate the eyeball. And some blinks are for that. But they also admit that they don't know why we blink as much as we do, because you don't need to blink that much just to lubricate the eyeball. So why do we blink? Why? What's happening? Every time you blink, why? If it's not to lubricate your eye, there's got to be another reason why you're blinking. Well, I think it's for the exact same reason why you close your eyes. Remember, conscious, unconscious, conscious. You can only be conscious when you can see the world. I'm using this very loosely here. Obviously, blind people are still conscious. But what I mean is, it's the light. So we're talking about just light, how it'll ignite the pineal gland. If you're blind, other things are going on, and that's another subject. But yeah, so during the night, you close your eyes, you go into your pituitary gland, takes over, and that's what's controlling it. You open your eyes, you see colour and light, and you're conscious. So every time you're blinking, what you're actually doing is going to your subconscious. You ask questions and you retrieve your answers. The conscious mind asks questions and it retrieves its answers from the subconscious. So every time you blink, you will see it more now because you'll recognise it now every time I see it. You'll be like, oh, he's blinked again. So every time you're blinking, what you're actually doing is going to the one mind, back to the ego world. To the one mind, back to the ego world. So you keep jumping from the mind to the world, to the mind, conscious, subconscious, all of the time for your conscious day. So throughout the day, the mind is still controlling everything, and that's how it's doing it. Right. This story from my friend the other day. So you've all seen the Truman Show. Everybody knows the Truman Show, the film, the movie, the Truman Show, and the Matrix. Matrix simply means womb, which I think is pretty interesting, especially when you think about it. You're all bubbles of light below the plane of inertia constantly. And in the Matrix, in the real world, they're all in little pods, and that's what you're attached to. And you don't know you're there, you're just dreaming, you're asleep. And then you get manifested into what they call the Matrix. That's an interesting point, that. Now remember, we've always got to keep in mind, everything, or nothing, everything comes from the mind. And the mind is give the ego an experience. And the ego simply forgets that it's the mind. And all the time, you're acting as the ego, thinking you're real, but really you're just the mind. You're pretending. Now, as within, so without. This is really, really, really important for people to understand how it works. Because people just say it, but don't actually think about what that actually means. Well, I think slightly differently than everybody else. And I think, well, when I first heard as within, so without, I thought like this. I thought, okay, everything on the outside, whatever happens to Gaia mentally, has to exist physically. So everything that you think about has to exist in the world. So, like I say, you've got pyramidal cells in your head, so then pyramidal cells have to exist in this world. We know this because I looked up the word pyramidal cell and it's there. So if you know the word and you know what it looks like, that has to exist in the word. Has to. What you hear is what you see. That's another important one. So what we've got. What happens mentally has to happen physically. So instead of looking at it like that, you look on the outside and see why would it exist on the inside, or what is it? What are you actually looking at? But then I started thinking about movies and films and things like that. And I'm thinking, why do we have actors and why do we have this entertained mind? Why? What's it there for? As within, so without. Why we got corporations? Why do we have trade? Why do we have these as within, so without? So you know these things have to happen within the vessel. All these things have to happen in the vessel. So, what are actors? What do you say at the beginning of a film, or when you're going to make a scene? Action. The clapperboard. Ooh, but like your eyelids. So, action. Now, what is this world? This world is the last stage of a thought. This plane is the last stage of a thought. So it's energy first, then matter. So everything starts with energy and then it becomes matter. So that's just simply a thought, which is high frequency. Then it gets lower in frequency and you bring it out as words. Then it gets lower again. You can write it to make it physical. Or like it's saying it's the best part because it's that makes it physical. You write it, it makes it physical, but it's still a low, as in volume, a low thought. It's not very loud. You start to speak it, it becomes loud, it gets louder. And that's the action part of the thought. So it's a mental thought, and then you speak it, it becomes the action. So this whole entire plane is the action part of a thought. It's where the thought plays out. So therefore, we are always living in the past, 100% of the time. This entire reality is based on the past. Because like I said at the beginning, the ego is created by everything around you, your experience. So you have to experience it first, then have the memory of it, store the memory, and then retrieve the memory as a thought, which you will then use for your experience. So then you've got to question, where do you get all the information from? Where? Okay, we'll go back one stage. We'll go back to when you're going to sleep. Eyes open, eyes closed. Right, so you know your eyes are for your conscious waking brain all of the time. So when you go to sleep, what do? You close your eyes and you can't see. But what you don't turn off is your ears. Your ears are always listening. Why? What's the difference? Well, the difference is in blue shift and red shift. Remember, blue shift is the moon, is the womb, is the vagina. Now, you've got to understand how this works. So, blue shift is the sun, which is the pineal, which is your conscious brain. Now, when your conscious brain, you have two eyes, and what do? You focus. You focus on things, yeah? It's a focal point. The sun is a focal point of light. The penis has a focal point at the very end. It goes to a point. It's a focal point to be point. Now, when you look at the vagina, it's not. It receives things. So when you look at the moon, you think the moon's where you get recycled and all of that, and there's wormholes. You don't think like that. You just got to think consciousness and logic. So the sun, so the moon, it's open and it misses nothing. That's your subconscious. It misses nothing. That's how you can use subliminal messages. And your subconscious will pick it up, but your conscious mind won't. So when you read the word meat, subliminally, your conscious brain just looks and sees the word meat. Subconsciously, what you actually, I'm not going to say, but you know what I mean. Subconsciously, what the subconscious read is eat me, meat. Because your subconscious will read the word forward, backwards, upside down, back to front, and it won't miss anything. Yeah, that's your subconscious. But your conscious brain, because it can only focus on one thing, only reads it forward and says the word meat. And that's all it thinks it's saying or understanding. But really, you've just told, through the subconscious brain, to tell the pineal gland, hypnosis, to eat meat. Eat me, meat. So when you read it, you just say meat. When the subconscious reads it, it says eat me, meat. Now remember, the subconscious tells the conscious everything of what to do. Yeah? Simple. So once you understand how easy it is for them to trick the conscious brain, they just put images on the television. You can remember Disney putting penises here and sex there, and NASA putting sex in the clouds and things like that. Why? Because your conscious brain won't say it. You'll believe what you've been told the image is. Oh, it's just a cartoon. It's Walt Disney. It's okay. But then you slow it down and say frame by frame, and you'll say penises, people having sex. There's lots of things hidden in cartoons that nobody knew were there because the conscious brain doesn't see it. But the subconscious brain misses nothing. Nothing. So all the world is created now for the subconscious brain, but you don't know. You just don't know it. But everything is controlling the subconscious brain. Everything. They know it, the ones that are controlling everything, but your conscious brain doesn't, and so therefore you don't, because you're just the conscious brain, which is the ego. So you miss it all, and that's how you trick you. That's what all them movies for. When you put the glasses on, you can see the reality. You take them off, and you can't see it. That's basically what it's doing, or what they're saying. You've got to close your eyes. You can't see. So once you understand all of this, it starts to make more sense. So yeah, what was I talking about before? Subconscious brain, going back. So yeah, where do you get all your information from? So you get your information from the world around you, outside. So the ego world is where you get your information from. Problem with that, the ego doesn't know who it is. So all the information is based on the ego not knowing who it is. So when you're getting further and further away from God, like what it says in scripture and all of that, in the end times, no one will believe in God or the creator. The ego will believe it's created itself. Which Most certainly does. Hence why I don't like egos. It isn't the ego that I don't like, because the ego is just the vessel. Well, I love souls. And again, the soul is still the ego. The ego is just a belief in itself. Remember, you're a collection of consciousnesses. And that collection of consciousnesses, because they're a collection, they believe in themselves, just like the world does. So Gaia's got an ego, and collectively we make up her ego. So our egos, everybody who doesn't know who they are, all of those egos make up the collective ego. And because that collective ego is Gaia's and it rules the world, it's really hard to say past it. That's why you've got to look in to be able to say out. So, if you get all your information from the world around you, how's that done? Who do you ask? And then, how do you get the information? You hear it. Now, why? That's why I done the post yesterday. What you hear is what you will see. And what I mean by that, you've been told the earth is a certain thing in a certain shape. It's a ball and all the rest of it, the globe, ball, ball. But we won't even get to that. So, you've been told these things. So, that's what you see. And you won't see anything else unless you question what you're saying. Yeah, so unless it's in your life script, and just not going to do it. So, you go to Google Earth. And you've already been told what the earth looks like. So you zoom out and you see a mountain, and it's a mountain. Until somebody says, that looks like a tree stump. And then you go, oh, God, yeah, I see it. But before that, you didn't see the tree stump. You just saw a mesa. And the mesa is just a protruding rock that's flat on the top. And they're called mesas. And that's all you saw. Until someone says, that looks like a tree stump. And you heard it looks like a tree stump, and then you could see the tree trunk or the tree stump. So what you hear determines what you see. Now again, your entire ego reality is based on what other people have told you is real. Now you might be starting to say, well, I was talking about yesterday about why can't we fly? Why can't you take off the ground like Superman and fly? That's because the collective ego says you can't fly, because it's been told that you can't fly. You can only do and see what you hear. So you truly believe that you can't fly because the entire world believes you can't fly. Now again, me as an individual, I can't fly because I can't change the collective brain. There's too many people saying that I can't fly for me to go against that. But if you know about covens and how the elite, we'll call them elite, but these other people that know shit, how they do it. Well, they create a coven, and the coven's more than 12 or 13 people thinking as one. Why? Well, you're just a brain cell individually, but collectively, you become a strong thought, a bright light, basically. The brighter the light, the more you can show the rest of the brain. Or it's a louder thought in the brain, yeah? And that's how they control the ego. They just create what they want people to see, and then they just see it, and then that's what you see. The Pope claimed to be the replacement of Christ. He was actually the replacement of Osiris, but we won't even get into that. So he claimed he was the replacement of Christ. He said it, and everybody saw that he was a replacement and just accepted it. Obviously, they killed a few people, so it could be accepted. But that's the ego. The ego forces its will. It's Mars, isn't it? It forces itself. So, the Truman Show. Remember, you've had a life script, and in your life script, what that script is specifically going to say, I'll have this life because these are the things, or the exact things I need because of my karmic debt. I will be able to do all these things, and by the end of it, this is what your covenant is, I will remember who I am. Most people fail this test every single time. Recycled, reincarnated, because you keep failing the test. Remember, we're in the testicles, in the testes. You're being tested. Your soul's being tested to see if it's going to go forward. And for anyone that doubts this, anyone at all that thinks I just don't know what I'm talking about, or I'm talking shit or whatever, go to a cell cycle. Just go to a cell and look at the cell cycle. Right? And you'll see the 7 stages altogether in the cell. The last one's psychokinesis. That's a cell division. Or from our point of view, cell death. So you'll see you've got the 7 stages within the cell. You'll also see this I think there's in total 3 checkpoints. So 3 checkpoints in a cell's life where the DNA, if it's wrong, it gets deleted. If it's deformed or, what's the other one? Mutated. If the DNA has been mutated, that cell won't go forward. It won't go forward. So that DNA doesn't go, I won't say cell, that DNA doesn't go forward. Right? So these checkpoints, so no, that's the Earth's brain plane. You get to a checkpoint. What do you think's happening? What do you think happens on the Earth? What does the DNA, okay, what's DNA? I've told you before, DNA is memories. We are the DNA. We're the living memories. So that's what we are. You're just stored full of memories. Because that's what DNA is, just memory. It's just a tone being stored as a memory. So you're just a collection of loads of frequencies, with loads of resonance that all go through these frequencies and then you act your life out. What was I saying? Memories. Oh yes, checkpoints in the cell's life. So in the cell, I can remember there being 3. You could say there's a checkpoint at each stage because there'll be a cymatic pattern change. But there's specifically checkpoints where DNA gets deleted. So the mass extinctions, there hasn't been that many. So I think we'll say this, well, the 3rd one's coming. So we'll say there's been 2 mass extinctions in the past. There's been cataclysms, but mass extinctions where most DNA gets deleted. That's most life on Earth will get deleted. Everything's just memories. So most things just get deleted. And only the perfect DNA goes forward, or the perfect memories, the ones that know. So those DNA will go forward. So if you think that anyone who hasn't woken up at the end, or all these famous people and all these egos that don't know who they are, they will be deleted. That's what the checkpoints are for. So if you think you can just like not do this, you need to think again. Because if you don't believe us, go to a cell life and look for the checkpoints yourself. Google it. How many checkpoints in a cell cycle? Look for yourself. You know what I mean? And then just think about if we are the cell, the universal cell, and there's DNA getting deleted, and we are the DNA, and it's getting deleted because it's basically it's not harmonized. It's not harmonized, and if you're not in perfect harmony or balanced, you won't go forward. And the ego is what creates the imbalance. Them opinions, the thoughts, this, the that, and that creates chaos, creates waves in your head. So that's how it works. So yeah, like I say, this is pretty important. It's up to you. Don't do it. Do it. I mean, it's entirely up to you. I'm hoping there's enough people to be able to say the truth, and then we can make a change. And we'll explain that now. So, the Truman Show, the Matrix, the Marvel movies, they are really important. So all of these things, as within, so without. So why are they there? Now remember, you've made a covenant with the mind that you're going to be able to remember by the end who you are. So in the covenant are all the things you've ever done throughout your life. So your entire life script, every song you've heard, every movie you've seen, everything you've ever touched, everything you've ever thought, are all part of your life script. So everything is manifested specifically for what you needed for your life script. But your life script is the ego life script. Yeah? So you think you've got a car because you just fancied a car. No, you've got a car because that was the car that you're always going to get. So the law of, what was it? The law of attraction. It should be called the law of fate. That's what it should be called. Because no matter what you think, or even if you're using the law of attraction, you think that you're manifesting it yourself, you're not. What you've actually done was remembered your life script and what was actually going to happen in the first place. That's all you just remembered it before it happened. And then it'll come into your life and you'll think, oh, look, here's my new car. But it wasn't. It was always going to be there. It was always going to happen. So once you realise this and you've got a life script, you're thinking, well, how can you change the life script? Now, this is the part where it gets a little bit, is it that easy? Could it possibly be? So, back to the original story. Met my friend in the kitchen the other day, getting really stoned, and I had no sleep the night before, so I was really tired. And then, like I say, we were having a laugh and joking on, and I pointed out that he wasn't funny, because he always tries to annoy us, Geordie banter. And Geordie being, if you're from Newcastle, you get called a Geordie. And banter's just humour. So Geordie humour or Geordie banter, we're having a laugh. And I says, you're a shit actor. Your script shit. You're not even funny. You're a bad actor. You're never going to get a BAFTA. And that's when it hit us. The Truman Show. The Truman Show. Fuck. It's real. And the realisation, the shock that went through me once I realised this revelation. I mean, it's not something you haven't thought of before. I mean, people have said, oh, the universe is a cell. They've said that before, but then just never went with the thought. People have thought, oh, it's just a movie, and then never went with the thought. But this one time I did. This one time, my brain was like, it is. And I'm like, and then I looked around, and the more I looked around, the more I realised. And then, honestly, this one thought will change your perspective if you can keep this thought in mind every time you have a negative, egoic thought. So, you know how when you're in what you perceive to be private, no one's looking. I remember years ago, I worked out when was the only time you're truly acting like you. When are you truly you? And I was young. I was like only teens or something, and I worked this out. And like, you only ever truly you when you're by yourself. Because as soon as there's someone else there, you'll change slightly. You'll act different. So I was like, the only time you're truly you is by yourself. I don't know why I'm telling that story. What was the point in that? Yeah, the only time you're by yourself. Yeah, so you're going to change every time you're with somebody else. What was my point? Humour, wait, no, that's the memory. I don't know what the point was there. I've lost that thought. So, yeah, your life is just a movie. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So the only time when you're by yourself, you're truly you. And when you think you're by yourself, and you think there's nobody watching, and you think I can just do what I want. Nobody's watching. Would you act the same way if you thought that people were watching? Would you? Would you walk around naked? Would you masturbate? Would you do these pick your nose and all these things that you do that you only do in private? Would you do it if people were watching? I don't think you would. Or you would definitely act different. What about thoughts? How many thoughts do you have that you wouldn't want anyone else to hear? Now, what if I told you everybody's watching? Everybody. There is nobody not watching you when you're by yourself. What do you mean though, Rob? Okay. The eye of Horus. The mind's eye. Always watching. It doesn't shut off. You're like, oh, fuck. So once you understand that the Truman Show was the mind reminding you that it is a projected reality. Why do you think TVs exist? As within, so without. Why do we have actors? As within, so without. Why do we have corporate? As within, so without. That's why they exist. It's telling you it's real. It's showing you it's real. You just think it's entertainment. You turn on, watch a soap opera, and don't even think that that soap opera is you. It's your life. The irony, if you're watching the television to watch a made-up story, bit like your life, so it's just like they've got script writers, a bit like Thoth in Book of the Dead. So you've got script writers, and it gets edited, so it's just for you. So it's your movie. So you're born with a movie script that makes you the actor, the ego, just an actor. That makes this the movie. That makes your house and all those things that you've got around you that you thought you want. No, it's just a film set. It's just a film set. That's all it is. Then, consider your acting role. What kind of job did you get? Oh, I got a shit one. I didn't get a big house with a big car and lots of money in my movie. My movie wasn't like that. So what kind of movie was yours? A comedy? A tragedy? Yeah? Which one? A love story? Or Was it a combination of them all? It's all a play. You're the actor. There's 9 acts of the scene, or are they just sequels? The Pelorian, the first one, the first movie. The Hyperboreans, the second movie. You seen it? It's just a play. So, what does all this mean? So that was the thought anyway I had. And it just got mental because I started, every time Jay started being a dick, me mate, I just see a dread hanging there. So every time my mate was being a dick, right, he was acting stupid, I would just go, nah, I'm not bothered. It's only a movie. It's not real. And when you start thinking like this, we started laughing. And we couldn't stop laughing. And we go, no, this must be the comedy scene. And then you realise, you're like, shit. So when you're sad, oh, that's the sad scene. Oh, I've got the sad scene in my script. You know when you call, you know when you're like that? Oh, God, what was I going to say? You've just forgot your lines. And you suddenly realise, it's a fucking movie, man. The whole thing is just a movie. Right? Now, what's so good about that though, Rob? Well, this is where I'm sort of getting deep into the thought. Who writes the script? The mind writes the script. Okay. Remember, thought, the scribe. Thoughts write the script. Okay. So that means I can control the thoughts. That means I can control the script. How do I control this? How do you control the script? Well, you already know about hypnosis. Yeah. And you also know, well, lots of people might know about hypnosis, but they might not know what to say and how to say things. And it's just, I am. Yeah. You don't say, I am not, and I don't want, things like that. You just say, I am this and I am that. Why do you need to say it? What the ear hears, the eye sees. Now, what I'm going to tell you, if you've been listening, that's why I say all you have to do is listen. If you listen and you know it within you, and this resonates and it all makes sense, you'll completely understand how we are going to be able to do this and how you can flip the script. Like I say, I can only do me individually. I can change my perception and how I see it all and control my script. But because there's nobody else is, everyone else who's intertwined with my script are still ego. So I can't do anything because their ego goes against my energy. And I'm just one. Even though it's a bright light, it's still just one. I know it's one of the all, but again, you've got all these egos around us going, no, 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 you can't fly, no, you can't do these things. And those thoughts are loud, much louder than my thoughts. Hence why we need a collective to be able to do this. But if you're able to do it, if we can all just do it, I know we can change the script. We can't change the end's still going to be the end, it's going to happen when it's going to happen, but okay, let's focus on Marvel movies. Why do Marvel movies exist? Why? As within, so without. Or as without, so within. So why do Marvel movies exist? Well, we'll just look up the word Marvel. Miracles. Not me. So, miracle movies. So Marvel movies are miracle movies. So what's a miracle? Okay, all these action heroes. Superman. Scott with his eyes. Stretch Armstrong, or what he was called. Can't remember his name. Mrs. Invisible, or the Invisible Woman. Mrs. Invisible. The Invisible Woman, things like that. Do you know what I'm saying? All these characters. Why can't you have these powers? Because everybody told you that you can't have these powers. You're going to have them in the movies because they're acting. It's not real. They're just following a script. Okay. What if we all said that we could fly and knew 100% that it was possible to fly, or to be like the Hulk, or to be any of the superheroes? Now just consider, you've all done it before. what superhero would you be? Who would you be? What Marvel character would you be? And then why not be it? But you'd have to truly know. You have to truly know you can control thought and control what you see by what you hear. Now, this is the life hack. So, instead of just saying things when you're under hypnosis, how about we do this? You need to create a visual image in your head. Yeah? Now, why? Right. Like I said at the beginning, energy first, then matter. So you receive a thought, and it's high frequency waves, but it's in your head. And it goes to the pituitary gland first, and the pituitary gland tells the pineal gland. So from front to the back, then you'll act it out. But like I say, usually it's just words. But then we use the law of attraction, and you use visual imagery. And you also got to tell yourself that you know it's done. It's not, you don't go, oh, I hope this is going to happen, or I'm going to wait for this, or nothing like that. Not wishful thinking. It's a knowledge of knowing what you're saying is going to happen. Because you're also going to say these things as you're doing it. Yeah? So you're going to say it aloud. I am, and then whatever you're going to be, right, what I'm going to tell you next. So you say I am, and then you speak it aloud. I see, and then you say it aloud. Yeah, then anyway, so this is the thought. So under hypnosis, so I'll put it in the comments, the video, and you'll have to practice that. I mean, the man doing it says it only takes a week, once a day, every day for a week. Well, do it 5 times a day. Do it for 3 days. But do as much as possible. The more you do it, the more it works. Yeah, the easier it gets for you to do it. It's not hard. You just have to sit and listen. I mean, you don't do anything. It's one of the easiest life hacks ever. Just listen. So you keep doing it until you're able to do it yourself. Yeah, because what will happen is the video will end, then an advert will come on, and all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, fuck. So you want to be able to do it yourself, and then you create this mental image. So when you're under, it's all black. You can't see anything. And then in the distance, you'll see a focal point of light, tiny dot. You have no body, right? Because this is all in your head. So you've got no body, you're just a consciousness. You have no body, no voice, you can't touch things. Right? You're just a consciousness. And aim for that light. You'll see the little light. Aim for it. As you get closer, it'll get brighter and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then you'll realise it's a Taurus. Yeah? But no, don't think anything like what you've been taught before. So it's just looks like a cell. It looks like a torus of water or a liquid, a fluid. And then you can see all the bubbles in it. But you're tiny, remember. So that's a universe. So you're going to dive into, just like consciously, you're going to go straight in the waters. You're going to go past all the bubbles that you see. You go through them. You can hear it, but obviously you can't touch anything. So you're going through. And then you're going to see the dome. You're going to see the firmament. Yeah? Head towards the firmament. You'll feel the vortex as it's going around, but it can't make it do anything because you're just a consciousness. So you're going to go to the top of the firmament. Now, once you get to the top of the firmament, in your mind, flip your head to Google Earth. Yeah? So then you can see mentally what you're going to be seeing. So in Google Earth, in your head, you're going to zoom down onto your house. Yeah, wherever you are on Google Earth, you're going to zoom down to that point. You're going to zoom down, going. Then you're going to go into the house, wherever you are, and then you're going to see yourself. You're going to see yourself doing whatever you're doing. Now, remember, it's a movie. So, what kind of movie are we going to have this? This is going to be like Poltergeist, shall we say. And a future film, you know, you got time travel. So, your consciousness that's watching you in this world. Now remember, that world is this world. That's important. You've got to remember, I'll explain that in a minute. So in that world, you're going to see you. Now in front of me, I've got a table. Now if I imagine in my head that I'm doing this, yeah, and then I get something on the table, me as the consciousness moves it. I've got no hands, remember. I can't see myself. So me that's doing this will just see something move by itself, and I'll be like, what the fuck? You know, if that was a movie, it would be like a horror movie, and something would move, and you'd see the character going, oh my God, what's happening? Yeah, and all of that. So imagine all of that's happening. But you're the one controlling it all. And you're, from the future, seeing yourself in the past. Now you want to give yourself a message. Yeah. So, whatever you're doing in your head, what you see yourself doing, there's a pen and a paper there. And if it isn't, manifest it like fucking a god. Let there be a pen and paper. And the pen and paper's there. Now remember, you have to talk yourself through this. You have to be saying this as you're doing it. I see myself sat there. I'm going to write myself a message and it's going to appear. So what you're doing is saying the script. You're going to write the script. Yeah? And you're going to give yourself a message. You're going to pick, the pencil's going to write by itself on a piece of paper from your point of view in your head. Yeah? Remember, you're the conscious doing it. You're the God. And the person watching it, just the ego, your ego. So your ego's freaking out because all of a sudden the fucking pencil's picked itself up and it started to write. I'm here to remind you who you are, just like happened to me. I'm here to remind you who you are. You can't see. This is where you can get a little bit, do what you want. Make your own story up. Yeah? Give yourself whatever message you think you need to give yourself. And you start to tell yourself what it is that you are going to be able to do. So think of the Matrix now. Yeah? Think of Neo is getting his message. And he's like, what the fuck's going on? And he's freaking out. He doesn't know what happened. That's your scene. Right? So that's your scene in your head. And this is what you're going to do. And you're going to give yourself a message. But we're not going to follow the white rabbit. But I need everybody to say this one thought. So no matter what script you create for yourself, no matter what you tell yourself and you see in your head, it doesn't matter what it is. The message you're going to give yourself is to follow the butterfly. Follow the butterfly. Right? That's all you need to say. Just follow the butterfly. The reason I'm using butterfly was it was the thought that came to my head yesterday, so I thought, well, must be right. But the other thing is, I think you'll notice a butterfly in your life the next time you see a butterfly. You will just see it. It'll appear and it'll just make sense. So yeah. So anyway, yeah, you're going to focus on it, and then you're going to say follow the butterfly, and the butterfly is going to lead you to whatever that special superhero you're going to be. Yeah. So the butterfly is going to lead you to be able to fly, if you can fly. If you're going to be the invisible, Mrs. Invisible, if you're going to be the invisible woman, then the butterfly is going to take you and show you a mirror or something like that. And you look in the mirror and you can't see yourself. Yeah, if you're going to fly, the butterfly takes off and you just follow the butterfly. Yeah? So whatever it is, you just say, follow the butterfly. Now, why would this work? Right. In your head, you've got the massa in the media, which is the earth brain plane. It's exactly the same. God, the weather's bad. So in your head, you've got the massa in the media, the earth brain plane, right in the centre. It's exactly the same as here. It is the earth. As within, so without. But remember, this earth is the action part of the earth, or the action part of a thought. The one in your head is the non-physical one, which simply acts on frequencies. So it's a much higher frequency in there, on the inside, than it is on the outside. When it comes physical, it's a lower frequency, or lower resonance. So high frequency thoughts, low frequency reality, or action thoughts. So in your head, in your mass media, you become the voice in your head. You're the one telling your ears to listen, to show the eyes what they're going to see. Now remember, you've just told, in your mass media, in your head, the high frequency thoughts, you've not only created the image, you've said the words, and you've seen your future. Now remember, you always create your future, well, you don't know this yet because I haven't said it, but you create your future at night. People think you sleep and dream about the day you've had. Flip that. Moon first, then sun. The monarch tells the pituitary. So at night, what you're actually doing is telling yourself what you're going to be doing tomorrow. And what do you dream about? You dream about what you've heard the day before. But what did you hear? Well, it doesn't matter what you heard. It was about the fucking ego from the ego's point of view. It doesn't matter what it was. Turn the telly on, have thoughts about the world, arguing with people. Ooh, them bastards over there controlling the world. All those thoughts are what you dream about, and then they'll get projected in your life script for what you're going to do the next day. So, what you've done is the day before, you turned off the ego, all ego thoughts. You didn't listen to any of them. You hypnotised yourself. You then give yourself instructions under hypnosis, so the ego's been shut down, can't see anything. Then only the ears are open. You then rewrite the script. So the egoic script of the stars, you're rewriting it at this point. So you're then rewriting the script. And again, if we do this collectively, yeah, then fate has just been created. It will no longer just be my thoughts. The same thoughts, by having more brain cells, will then project that reality. And if enough enough souls doing this, yeah, all at the same time, we'll flip the script. The script is written because everybody around us is telling us what the script is. But pretty soon, people aren't going to know what the fucking script is when it all goes wrong. The script they thought was there is not there anymore, and it's all going to go wrong. Yeah? So we can rewrite the script. But like I say, the only ones who are going to do this or be able to do this are the ones that truly know who they are. There's no good. If you've got an ounce of doubt that I'm talking shit, then it won't work for you. It's as simple as that. It's that simple. So I don't know who will and who won't. Yeah? But I do know if there's enough of us doing this, then it has to work. Now again, choose your superpower. They're not in the movies for nothing. They're in there for a reason. The mind's trying to remind you of the powers you've got. Then just think about the things that you've seen throughout your life, and then ask yourself, why was that in my awareness? Why was it in my life? What was the mind showing me? Who watched He-Man the cartoon? He-Man, or the man, then he becomes, well, he's Adam, and then he becomes the man. Yeah? And he lives in Castle Grayskull. When he pulls out his sword and raises his kundalini, he's the master. Was it? Hey man, I have the power. And where does he get his power from? The masters of the universe, the higher mind. Why is that there? Who come up with that fucking story and why? Well, it was the mind reminding you that this is you. This is what you can do. Why is the movies created? Someone will say, oh, it was them stupid brothers over there who are now women and all of this. But it's not. They are just souls being controlled by the mind. They are just actors. Everybody on the face of this plane is acting. You're just playing a fucking role. It's not real. Why I get pissed off with fucking psychopaths and murderers is because you are a pure soul listening to the ego, which is based in fear. And all them fears are created by the words you've heard about other people, saying they're different. Whispers in the ear. And that's how they do it. And that's how reality is created. And that's the ability you have to take your reality back and become the writer, the script writer, the director, the editor. Yeah? You become them. Don't let everybody else's ego dictate. And I shit you not, this is how easy it is to get involved in other egos. The elite, the government, the truckers, COVID, all of it, any of it. You start banging on about the script that's out there, yeah, you become the ego. So yeah, you have to literally shut it all off and not listen to any of it, not have an opinion of it. Say that it's supposed to be there and it's supposed to be like that. If it wasn't, then it wouldn't be. So, for me, that was like a eureka moment for me when I realised that, but then I realised that I'm not going to be able to do it by myself. And I know this because I had that thought. So, collectively, we could, I definitely think, well, it's not definitely think, I know. This is a fact and we will have the ability to do it. Now, I'm just going to check to see if I did cover everything, because I did have a list this time, if in case I forgot. Give us a look. Ego, memory. Oh yeah, well yeah, the ego being memory as well. So the ego only ever remembers what it's been told. Your whole ego life is based on what you've been told. So again, if I hit you on the head and you lost your memory, you would have no ego. Well, you'd have an ego, but the ego wouldn't know what it is. It would be fresh again. You'd have to create the character. Yeah, you only think you're you because of your memories. Without those memories, your ego would be different, or you wouldn't have one. Ego penniless, yes. Dreams done. Movies done. Actor script done. So I'm like, yep. Oh, okay. I'm going to touch on the Book of the Dead as well, because that's part of the script writing. So the reincarnation and the script writing. So in the Book of the Dead, you see. Oh, I don't know if you've seen the image, but it's the main image for the Book of the Dead. It's quite a famous one. And at the very top row, you'll have all the Ennead or the Zodiac, and you have a little soul on their hunkers, on their knees, kneeling in front of the testicles. Now remember, they are above. Everything on this image has meaning. You've got to look at everything and to make sense of it. So the fact that they are above, you know they are above the plane. And the altar that they're knelt in front of is the testicles and the penis. So the earth brain plane, you know, is the phallic. You know it's Osiris. Yeah? In the bottom, when they go below, once they died, yeah, they go below the plane, and that's where the soul gets weighed. Now, at first, I thought Thoth was writing down your life, but I don't. That thought's changed now. I think once your heart has been weighed with a feather, it sees how imbalanced you are, and what he's writing, Thoth, is writing your next life script. You then take your life script, once Thoth knows it, and Horus guides you. Well, Horus is the pineal gland, so it's the ego, so it's the sun, guides you to Osiris. And then in front of Osiris, you've got the fallopian tubes in the uterus, so in the vagina. So that's what it represents, the other altar. So Osiris then dictates where your soul is going to go. So it tells you what vessel you're going to go into. So again, remember, if you've lowered your frequency, and you've got a really low frequency, when Thoth is taken down to write your life script, it's going to be based on whatever frequency you were. You drop too far down. I know people like to think this can't happen, but this is the way I see it happening. You drop too far down, you'll become a lower animal again. And you'll become a cat or a dog. And if you treat the cat or dog bad, then you'll become a cat or dog. And your karma will do it to be live with a human that doesn't like cats or dogs. And then you'll get hurt. And then you'll pay your debt. And you'll realise when you come back the next time, you're not supposed to hurt cats or dogs. And it's that simple. So remember, stop acting, because all you have to do is come back in that new role in another vessel, and then have to pay back that karmic debt. So whatever you've done will be done to you. Yeah, and if you've done lots of bad things will be done to you. So that's why I say you shouldn't judge people in this reality. Because anyone who's been murdered or hurt in this reality is paying karmic debt for what they've done already to others. So the victims this time were the perpetrators the last time. The perpetrators this time were the victims the last time. Don't judge anyone because you don't know what fucking karmic debt they've got or what they're paying back. Do you know what I'm saying? This is why you should lose those judgments. And those judgments that you make about these other people create your karmic debt. Now you can see how this is just going to be a vicious circle if nobody wakes up. It just gets worse and worse and worse because the ego truly believes in itself. And that's how bad it can get. Right. Now, like I say, today's was just going to be a quick one because I know I haven't touched on creation and the end times, the plasma event and all the details. Because for me, and I'm not going to use images and I'm not going to use objects, I'm not going to use things. The reason I'm not going to do that is because if you don't know it, you don't know it. That's down to you. Get on the internet, start using the collective brain, which is the internet, and see what these things mean if you don't understand them. Look for it yourself. If I start showing you images, that just stops, it just makes you lazy and go, oh, well, I don't know what that means. Oh, it's that image. No, when you look yourself, you look a lot more. You'll see a lot more when you look yourself. As opposed to just getting answers from other people. That's why you got to look in, and then it makes more sense. Or you just get answers from the ear. Get clues from the ear, but don't get answers. Get your answers from the inside, not the outside. Only then will it make sense. So yeah, I don't want to talk about egos either. So again, like the last video where you see us talking about egos and how much I dislike them. Once you realise that's just a movie, that's just a script. Stop focusing on the ego. Every time you focus on the ego, and talk about the ego, and belittle the ego, and berate the ego, no matter how much you want to do it, only the ego judges the ego. It's as simple as that. So if I start judging the ego, then I'm the ego. You can't help it. But like I say, it's a strong deity, and it's very powerful if you give it power. But like I say, the mind is battling my ego all of the time by going, no, and then having thoughts. And then as soon as you have the thought, listen to the thoughts. Question it. Why has that just entered my head? What is the mind trying to show me? It's always talking to you and it's always trying to tell you. It's most of the time the ego's got fucking, can't you? I'm not listening. Yeah, so that's the thought anyway. I'm pretty sure I've covered everything. I haven't left much out, if I have left anything out. Done language, words, sounds. Well, I'll do that a little bit deeper. So when you say a word or any tone at all, that goes in your ears and go to the, you need words though, you see. Because once you understand how it works, you'll understand how it works. So when you say words, so the massa intermedia is in between the optic thalamus, right? And it's like, they call it an adhesion. It's like a piece of skin, if you like, attaching the two optic thalamus, right? So in my head, that's going to be like the skin of a drum. And every time you go and say words, it vibrates. And that vibration, that's like the earth brain plane in your house, that vibration then create the little toruses and everything on the top of the melanin fluid. You've got to understand how small this is in your head though. This is like, science won't be able to see it. You won't be able to go and look in your head and be able to see it. So imagine you're a universal cells, you're the entire universe. So think how big the universe is. Right? Think how big the earth brain plane is, just the earth. Yeah? Now think how, get that into the centre of a cell. Yeah, it's pretty small. You're not going to be able to just see it. Now again, the only reason you can't see it is because it's in the mind. It doesn't really exist. That's why you should be able to let go of all these attachments of your judgments of, I don't like those and I don't like them and they're evil and I have fear. What you got fear for? It's only a movie. It's not real. It's a collective projection, illusion, an image. It isn't real. Image, imagination, image in. Imagination's images in your head. That's it. And then images are created right in the very centre of your head. Right in the very centre, on that plane. That's where all images are created in your head. Oh, there is another thought I had last night that might help with this. So, you know when you think, I'm me. And then you think, oh, I'm going to lift my arm in the air. And your arm lifts in the air. And you think you did it. Did you? So I know science, so you've got nerve endings, you have a thought and you're responding to outside stimuli. And then you've got nerves and they tell the muscles to contract and it does all these other things. That's what science will tell you. Well, just ask science when it's making these claims. Just say, okay, where am I in the head? Where am I? This part that feels and thinks and all, it makes my arm go up and down. Where's that in my head? Science will go, oh, it's all over. But it's not though, is it? Because you already know consciousness is a focal point. So it can't be all over the brain. If it was all over the brain, you'd just be thinking lots of thoughts all at the same time. But you never ever think lots of thoughts. You think of one thought at any one time. One thought and one thought alone. And you'll follow that thought. You can't think of two things. You only ever think of one. And you'll focus on that one thought. Oh, I was just trying to think of two things at once there. And I was like, but you can't. So yeah, science is just talking a lot of tosh. So this is the thought I had last night. Don't get us wrong, this thought dug my head right in because I couldn't work it out. So I thought to myself, how do I make my arm lift up? Like literally, how did I do it? Me, the mind, that little dot, I didn't do anything. I haven't moved. I'm in the head. The arms just seems to be doing what it wants of its own accord. I'm not doing anything. I'm literally not doing it. It's doing it itself, right? And I sort of thing like this, and I sort of gone, hang on, how's that? And then I started to feel like I'm just a little dot in the centre of my head, and everything else is just happening around us. I don't get to control any of it. It just does it. It's like it's on autopilot. Well, that's the ego. And I'm not, so it's like, once I sort of think like this, I was like, ooh, I just feel like a puppet now. And then once you sort of see, you're like, oh, well, that's what the mind does to everything. But individually, everything thinks that they are doing it. But in reality, what's actually happening is the mind's doing it, and you're just a passenger observing it, watching the movie as the mind, the eye of Horus, watching it on the big screen. The big screen, we call it the world. But it's just a movie. You're not actually even here. You're in the head, and you're at a singularity point, and you don't move. Everything else just moves around you. Flowing energy. And that one thought, I'm like, I had to stop thinking about it, because I started going deep into it and thinking how everything's just automatic and you don't do anything. You don't, like, what's making my mouth come up and down and making the sound come out? I don't do that. It's no good saying, science can say it all at once, right? But when I thought about it, I'm like, well, how do I make my mouth go up and down? How do I make this sound come out? It's easy to say, I know it's doing it, but how do I make it do it? See, I don't like fucking thinking about it. It does my nut, right? I can't work it out. Well, I know how it works. I don't know how it works. I'm not saying I don't know how it works. I know about resonance and frequencies and all of that. So I understand how it works. But when you just think about it, yeah, you just actually, instead of just thinking about it, you watch yourself in the mirror and you go, well, how's that happening? How did that just do that? How does my hair know to grow? Who's doing all of this stuff? Who's making me lungs go up and down and breathe and my heart? And it's not all automatic. But how's it fucking automatic? How's it knowing to do it? How does my heart know when to bounce or to beat? How does it know to do it? How? Obviously I know how. I'm not asking like that, but you know what I mean? Science will just go, yeah, it does. Yeah. Don't ask too deep about that. Don't think too much about it. But fucking I am. I want to know. It's no good just saying it just does. That's no good to me. So yeah, I thought that was an interesting thought. I didn't like it very much because, like I say, I can't fuck work it out. Well, yeah, it just doesn't make no sense. Even if you think about it logically, it still makes absolutely no sense. There's no reason whatsoever that little single tiny dot in the centre, we call the mind, is able to manifest all of this. And it feels so real. But then you've got to question what's real. Dreams feel real as well, don't they? This is the action part of the dream. Hence, action. Actors. Actors. Honestly, once you wake up and you realise the truth, you're so disappointed with what we've done. Yeah, I'm impressed that it's all there and it's all that, but like, so much potential, and this is it. A fucking mobile phone. Talking to a few people that can hopefully wake up and come out the movie. This is as far as we've got. I mean, I'm impressed with mobile phones and the fact that I can speak like that and speak to lots of people. I'm impressed by these things, yes. I think the mind's brilliant, but like, I'll be more impressed if I could use fucking telekinesis and psychokinesis and telepathy. I'll be more impressed if I could do these things. I mean, a mobile phone's still a fucking machine. We don't need anything from the outside. We don't. Collectively, we are all that single dot in the centre. And that dot is the one mind. So all we've got to do is be that dot. And then we can talk to each other. We can send thoughts to each other. We don't need the physical world. And I already know these things. So if you can truly see this within yous, like truly see it, I think we can have a good time for these last 3 years, say. Yeah, I think it can be fun. I want to be a superhero. I don't want to have to worry about going past borders. I want to just levitate across the border. I don't want to see borders. I want man, when man comes near us, I want to be like Neo. I want to just think them away. Disappear. Right, not hurt them or anything, but just make them, like, I don't know. Well, if my superpower would be the mind and mind control, that would be my superpower. And flying as well. I wouldn't mind that. But mind control would be mine. I would just change what people are thinking. They'd want to come and hurt us, and I would change their thoughts to want to just love us. That's what that would be mine. Wake up! Yeah, man. So just think of all these superheroes. Who's going to be Storm? Who's going to control the weather? Who's going to control water? Who's going to have them eyes that's got lasers? Who's going to be the Hulk? Who's going to be... Ah! What are you going to be? Choose one. Choose a character. You don't have to be the one that the ego has said that you're going to be. You know, when you had that covenant, the covenant was only enough until you realised who you were. It was written for you. The covenant says, look, once I realise what I am, I've kept my agreement. I've kept my part of the bargain. And at that point, you're free. Free to do what? Free to control the mind. So, I'm awake. Who else is awake? Do you know what I mean? If you're awake and I'm awake, then we're free to control the mind. That's what the law says. Okay, I'm game. It'll become fun. I think the last few years have become fun. I'll fucking love it. As long as everybody else plays the game with us. Yeah, it'll become fun. Anyway, that's going to be it for today. Like I say, I didn't want to get all het up and sort, because it's just a movie. And so I can't express that one thought, how it just released everything. Being bothered. Nah, it's just a movie. But the downside of that, I really, 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 really don't want to play the game anymore. Any of it. Like, I had to go to the shop this morning and I'm like, I don't like this fucking movie. It's just a shit part of the movie. How do you went to the shop? This is fucking shit. Where's my speedboat? Where's the helicopters? Come on! I want a little bit more action. I want some fun. But you know what I mean? Yeah, you know what I mean. My fucking movie's gone all fucking... all serious. And it's got like one of them movies that people just switch off because there's not enough action in it. Yeah, that's a boring one. It's about thinking. Yeah, that's shit. Get that off. And the best part, you know when you're going to be talking to someone, honestly, all these thoughts are going to come back in your head. I'm going to make sure I'm fucking there, reminding you. Right, so all these times you go like that and you go, oh, God, I forgot what I was going to say. You're an actor that's forgot your lines. You're not getting no fucking Golden Globe, I'm telling you. You're a fucking shit actor. Just think about these crazy psychos out in the world. You go, oh, what's your scene this time? Now for you. Oh, what character are you? Oh, I'm the psychopath. I've got to play the psycho this time. I get to chop people up. Do you know what I mean? And, oh, yeah, no, I'm a policeman. I have authority. Yeah, I'm PC dickhead. Yeah? They're just characters in a movie. But the bad thing is, most of these characters don't realise they're characters. And the problem with that, we're at the 9th sequel now, yeah? The movies are starting to get a bit of shit. They're getting a bit predictable. The audience is getting a bit bored with the movies, yeah? And unfortunately, the 9th one, it's the last one. It's the last sequel. The problem with that is, according to science, there's 8 billion souls that are acting. 8 billion. What do you think happens? Okay, we'll just make some shit up here. At the end of the movie, there's a film set. The film set's going to be destroyed. It's going to get knocked down. The problem is, all the actors in the entire world are still on the film set thinking that they are still in character. The movie's ended. It's done. But everyone's still walking around on the film set thinking they're still in character. Not knowing, in 3 years, the whole entire set is being blown up. It's getting burnt to the ground. It's going to be destroyed. You've got a couple of people going, right, that's it. You can quit now. The movie's over. It's time to go home. And everyone's gone, what the fuck's he on about? Fucking idiot. And they don't listen. They still want to play the movie. They still want to play the character. Right? Massive fucking problem with that. If you don't wake up in time, you don't realise you're fucking acting, guess what? Movie's ended, the fucking credits are rolling up. Right? And if you're fucking still in that movie set, have a guess who's not going to be on them fucking credits? Yo. Your soul's just, oh, I can't say my soul, eh? Yep, because you're fucked. You stayed. You should have come. You should have realised. Then you would have had your name in the credits. Mine's going to be right at the top. God. Played by Rob. It's just a fucking movie. Ah, it's unreal, man. Especially that realisation. Like I said, you've all had the thought before. This isn't an original thought. You've all thought it. God, it's just a movie set. Yeah, it is. Look around you. Look at your movie set for your character. Just look around you. You wake up every morning with a new script. Every morning. You go to sleep. The moon tells you what your script's going to be. Yeah. You wake up and you're like, right, what's my script? You quickly go over in your head. Right, go to the fridge. Make a cup of coffee. Have a cigarette. Go to the toilet. And then you just go and play the role. It's just a fucking script. It's just a movie. As without, so within. It's just a movie. I think we should change the channel. Yeah. I think this fucking movie's getting a bit boring for me, and I think we need to change the channel and get some fucking superhero shit going on. That's what I think we should do. So anyway, like I say, yeah, this is just a quick one to show you how thoughts can change everything. Remember, you're the mind, not the ego. The ego is just an actor. It's time to leave that acting role and become the true you. To realise that you're just an actor, and you can, mate, before the end though, I mean, we've got a couple of scenes left. We might as well make them good scenes. Yeah. But all I know, the fucking black guy does not die in this movie. Right? No. And with that, I'll sign off. Thank you for listening. Until next time, bye-bye.